Hey,
Hey man, how are you?
good man. How are you?
I'm doing well.
That's good.
All right. Um. Okay. So, what did you wanna talk about?
So did send like a couple of questions in the Discord, but basically I've been watching your stuff for a while. I'm an AD main.
Hmm.
I'm gold one currently on OCE. I've played a shit ton of games this season. And if I really set my heart to it, I can definitely climb. But I autopilot a lot of games.
Right. Wait. Can I have your OPGG if you don't? Have you already sent it to me? Oh, you
Yeah,
did.
yeah. I'll send it to you again.
Perfect. Okay. I see it. I see it. So I'll just open it right here. Okay. This is okay. Yeah. Go on. Well, it's a lot of games actually. I just yeah.
It
Mm.
is. It's a lot of games. I have no life.
I mean, no. This is
No,
fine. Yeah. I mean, it shows to me that
yeah,
you are dedicated and you can play the same champ over and over again. So that's good.
yeah. I
Yeah.
guess this season I've tried to actually put effort into learning the game because I've been playing since season 3 and just more casually and just having fun type of thing. But yeah, just actually trying to learn the fundamentals. And I've had a couple different coaches over this year, just like on one-off sessions and trying to get better. But I guess I wanted to just get your feedback on like exactly what the fundamentals that you might be able to tell uh, from. I don't know. You probably can't tell much from OPGG,
No. I mean,
but
there's a few things that I could tell. So
yeah.
what would be your question?
Well, I've got a couple of like more specific ones, but I guess one thing that I've been just trying to work out is how to improve on my own without specifically getting a coach. Just because I've been looking for a coach for a while, like
Mm-hmm.
more a long-term person that can just like keep guiding me to help with self-improvement. But like, I'm not exactly sure what I should be looking for when I am doing like VOD reviews of like Challenger level games, that type of stuff. Like I love watching all your content where you can break down exactly what is going to be good and what
Mm-hmm.
isn't. But
Mm-hmm.
I guess like what are the key things I should be looking at apart from the matchup? Because like matchups are in bot lane. There's so many variables. It's not like a top matchup where you've got like Jax versus Set and you can like
Yeah, yeah,
YouTube
yeah.
that and like see how that plays out.
Right.
There's
So
there's
so
because
because
there's
there's more
four champs.
players,
It's
yeah.
a lot harder.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, there's
yeah.
more players. So because there's more players in bot lane, obviously there's more chaos. There's different more variables involved. There's still set fundamentals, right? There's still core defining principles about the lane, and so these coaches that you've talked to. By the way,
Hmm.
about the time, I don't mind if we go over the time. There's no there's no coaching session after this, so I don't really it's fine. Um,
Cool.
the first question is why haven't these? How many coaches have you found in the past, or how many coaching sessions did you get with them before?
Paid sessions I've done. I've had two different coaches.
Uh
One
huh.
is a guy in OCE. He's like a D1 Draven main, which probably isn't the best
Okay.
because you can imagine that those type of players.
Yeah.
But then the other guy, obviously, I play a lot of Lucian. Looking at my OPGG, so it's a guy called Ostrich, which is in NA. He's the GM Lucian
Yeah,
main.
I actually know him. Yeah, I've actually seen him
Yeah.
before. Yeah,
So I've had a couple of sessions with him,
and
more specifically on Lucian and like the micro around that.
right, and then what have they taught you? So I guess a better question would be after getting coaching sessions from this Diamond One player and then Ostrich, who I
Yep.
believe Ostrich is actually a really good ADC. Um,
Hmm.
what, why hasn't it worked for you? Because there's clearly something that's happening that isn't working.
I wouldn't say that it isn't working. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely been improving like significantly.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the things that we were focusing on earlier was improving CS. So like you look at my overall CS numbers for someone like Lucian or MF, they're like just under 7
Mm-hmm.
CS per minute. But a lot of the games I've just been understanding what to look for. Like, post 15 minutes after lane phase is over, try and go mid and stay mid as an AD so you can collect the mid wave and
Mm-hmm.
collect the jungle camps and that type of stuff. So there's that. Just understand the macro. One thing that I did do beginning of this year is join. There's like amateur tournaments here in OCE.
Mm-hmm.
So just like Iron to Plat, Iron to Gold kind of tournaments. So I
Mm-hmm.
joined a team and it had to learn the fundamentals of the game very differently than solo queue. So yeah, so a lot of the macro of the game I've definitely improved significantly on, but yeah, I guess there's still things like in lane, like yeah, there's still bits and pieces here and there that I have holes in my learning because I've been playing since season 3 and just learnt the game from my own experience rather than from someone professional, I guess.
I'll screen share with you real quick actually.
Sure.
Thanks for the sub, by the way, Fabio. Here, I'll screen share with you here, and then we'll open Notepad, and then you can tell me. So let's see. So I guess we can say, what do you think about in League versus slash what is important, right, or fundamental, whatever, right? What is fundamental versus I guess what would be, right? So my ideas of what fundamental. So I guess a better way to really categorize is what is fundamental to you. So what are some things that you believe are important that you've worked on inside of the game? Because it seems like to me it seems like you're not understanding what is important versus what is not important, and so that might be an issue, maybe. So I guess what do you think is like? What do you think is fundamental in League?
So my overall view of ADC is depending on what the matchup is. If it's an even matchup, you can try and get ahead, but otherwise, CS as much as possible.
Okay, so if it's even matchup, CS much as possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's even or a losing matchup, just CS as much as possible and try not to die.
What if it's a winning matchup?
And then, if it's a winning matchup, then you can look for opportunities, but it depends on the matchup, of course.
Okay.
So like I like playing Lucian because he's a caster, a very aggressive lane bully caster. But when you have supports that pick something like Janna or something that just doesn't have the engage, it's super annoying because you kind of have two different goals with your with the matchup that you got.
Do you not believe that Janna could be aggressive?
No, she definitely can, but she's not a
a
catch
or something. Yeah,
it's kind of
yeah.
That's right.
Okay. Okay. What else do you believe that is fundamental?
I guess the AD's macro positioning throughout the game for objectives. So just making sure that you're at the objective before it spawns, so you can try and get vision and battlefield control.
Okay. What else do you think? By the way, the reason I'm asking you these is because I'm going to tweak these later, at the end.
Yep. Yeah. Sure. I guess just looking for. Are you looking for like answers for ADC specifically?
Well, for you, what is fundamental for you to improve on? So, what should you work on?
One would definitely be jungle tracking. Like obviously early, knowing where they start their buffs and what the champ is. It's kind of easy to track in the first kind of couple minutes, but then after that, you just lose track of it because you're too focused on what's happening in your lane.
Yeah.
I guess the only other thing is like positioning in team fighting, like just understanding what your win condition is for your team and how you can fit your AD's kit in it, I guess.
Okay.
They're the key fundamentals that I can name at the moment.
Okay. Okay, so these are the fundamentals of what you believe. Okay. So, I guess we can work on from top to bottom. So matchup, if it's an easy matchup, if it's an even matchup, see as much as possible. Losing, see as much as possible. Winning, look for opportunities. I believe that, and we're in Gold 1, right? I believe that all matchups are winning. So, if you're playing Lucian, what's a hard counter to Lucian? What do you think is a difficult matchup?
Either Draven or Caitlyn at the moment.
Right. But you've seen now if you were a let's say you were a really good Caitlyn. Let's say you were a platinum Caitlyn, for example, right? Okay, not really good, but you were a platinum Caitlyn, and you're up against Uzi, on Vayne. Vayne is a hard counter. Caitlyn's a hard counter to Vayne, right? Because of the range, because of everything. Vayne can't do anything. But you're versus Uzi. So it's essentially... let me open Epic here. It's essentially your Caitlyn versus Uzi. Who wins?
Uzi does.
But why does Uzi win? Doesn't Caitlyn counter Vayne?
Yes, but he's obviously in a whole nother league of his own.
Right. So okay, so he's on a whole other league of his own. Why? Because it's really weird when people say, "Oh, I can't win. He's challenger," or "This guy's a pro player. This guy's really good." We want to ask ourselves, why is he a pro player? What makes him challenger? So in your eyes, Uzi is better than you. Sure, Uzi does win this, but Caitlyn counters Vayne. So how does Uzi beat you? What does Uzi have that's so much better than you that makes him Uzi? So a question is, what makes him Uzi?
Well, he has a ridiculous amount of game sense and just understands what he can do in the matchup. So he knows the micro on like what opportunities that he has against Kate.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as you make a little mistake or use your E and it's on cooldown and you're going for a CS, like he's gonna punish you for that.
Yep.
So
what is that? Trading.
Yep, trading.
Right. So okay, so Uzi's really good at trading against you. What else does Uzi do that you don't? Even though Caitlyn should just beat Vayne.
Oh, I don't know. Many things.
Maybe he's able to...
What are you getting at specifically?
Is he able, like... Have you seen Uzi play? Have you seen, like, Viper play? Have you seen any of these... Do you watch professional ADCs?
Yeah, I do, but not as much as I need to.
Right. But you see what
So what I tend to do, so for example, beginning of this season, like I had no idea actually how I know how Misfortune worked, but I didn't know how to actually use that in League of Legends, if that makes sense. Like I understood what the abilities did, but I didn't know how to use them. So I went and watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos to understand like how she works, how she goes into matchups, and she's my second most played champ this season, and I think my highest win rate, like AD.
Right.
So going in depth and like totally studying a champion properly, I can definitely like do that. But yeah, that's all the little micro things I guess that you need to know.
Right. So, okay. So I'll just tell you what Uzi does better than you in that case. So Uzi's trading is better than you. Uzi's CSing is better than you. Uzi looks at the map a lot more than you.
Yeah.
Right? Uzi is able to what about his spacing? You know how spacing works, right? Where you're clicking up and down there. He's able to space better than you. Uzi's mouse movements, have you seen his mouse?
Not him specifically.
Right. I'll actually show you. Or actually Uzi stream ADC. Ad block is fun. One sec. Okay, here's Uzi's Lucian. Do you see his mouse?
Yeah.
Do you see how insanely fast that is? Okay, he's getting ganked here, but let's take a look here. Here he's fighting. Okay. Super server, fun. Okay, let's find a moment in the lane where he's actually laning and not fighting someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like right here. Here's him laning. Do you see that he's always looking for something? Do you see his mouse?
Yeah.
What do you think is the difference between his mouse and your mouse?
He's moving and clicking a lot faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Faster, a lot tighter on his champion. So
Yeah.
The best analogy I can really give you is that if you're trying to race somebody, and or a better analogy is like if you're trying to race somebody, it doesn't matter if like let's say you have a car. It doesn't matter if you're a better driver. If your car isn't fast enough, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the same thing. So I could tell you to be doing all these things, but fundamentally your vehicle just isn't fast enough. And so anything you try to replicate that these pro players are trying to do, and you trying to do exactly what they do and try to win games off that, it doesn't matter because fundamentally you're physically not able to do that. Right? It's like trying to play professional basketball while you're like 4'3".
Mm-hmm.
It's just not possible. You're just not gonna you're not gonna make it. Everyone is just far too taller than you.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense? So
yeah.
This is essentially mouse speed and overall just mouse movements. This is the most important thing in League of Legends early on for anyone trying to improve. Right? So what we've actually just described here are the fundamentals of the game, not these. It's just this. Team fighting is obviously a bit different, but we'll go on that in a minute. But these are the fundamentals of the game. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. So matchup, even if it's a matchup, whatever the matchup, it doesn't matter because if it's Uzi or if it's Viper, if it's Ghost or if it's Daft or if it's Arrow, whoever, they care about their matchup, but they only care about matchup at the highest levels. But in this level, in gold and platinum, matchups don't matter. People are just really poor at the game, and so they're not going to trade against you properly. And so this is not fundamental to you, actually. What's fundamental to you is this instead. Is the trading, the CSing, the map awareness, the spacing, the mouse movements, and the speed at which you can actually play your mouse, and then obviously being able to your camera, right? Camera speed, and then like being able to like read like situations as they happen. Right? Like this is all fundamental to the game. So if you can master these things, you'll get better at the game from a laning standpoint. And even from like a team fight standpoint and everything. It's actually all you need. You don't even need to know anything else really, to be honest.
Okay.
All right? Do you have any questions about any of this so far?
No.
Right, this is all okay. So, and then finally, ADC macro positioning for objectives. This is fine. This is like basic macro. So we can just call this basic solo queue macro, sure. And then jungle tracking early. So what you need to focus on is these things here. So the fundamentals, and then team fighting, sure. This doesn't matter until diamond, right? And then this doesn't matter until diamond. And then teamfight positioning, that's something that is also very fundamental as an ADC. Okay? Does this all make sense so far?
Yes. When you say something like basic solo queue macro doesn't matter until diamond, I don't know if that statement is like applicable, if that actually makes sense, because like it totally matters. That's how you win League of Legends. Like it's a game of chess, and even though you can, might have the best micro,
right.
The macro like is how you actually win.
Who told you League is a game of chess?
I probably coined the term from LS.
Okay.
Like it's not specifically a game of chess, but it is.
Do you watch football?
You can draw a lot of similarities.
Do you watch football?
Yes, but not. I'm in Australia, so not American football.
Yeah. That's what I mean, like football, not American football.
As in soccer.
Soccer, yeah.
I know the game of soccer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Trying to find a picture. Okay, found a picture. Beautiful. All right. So you understand football.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Good. And you understand that football in a way is like chess. Right. Trying to find a proper image. God damn it. I'm trying to find a non-organized image. Got it. Okay. Is this chess to you? Hold on. Does that look like chess to you? Just wait for it. Does
It doesn't. It does not look like
they're
chess.
all clumped up? Where's the positioning? I mean, I know this is like maybe a 3-a-side game or a 5-a-side game, I don't know. But from someone who's grown up with football and has played at multiple levels, I don't believe that this is a formation that makes much sense. You have the same teammate chasing each other.
Mm-hmm.
It actually feels like this guy wants the ball from his own teammate. That's not chess. But football is chess in a way. But you're mixing up your solo queue games from pro play. This is gold solo queue.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Oh, I get I understand where you're getting at.
All right. I'm not trying to insult people in gold and platinum and whatnot, right? But this is literally what it is. It's just people running around at the end of the day. There is no concept of the game. Right? This is like your jungler trying to take blue buff away from the mid laner. You know? This is just, it's bad. Okay? And so, yes, League of Legends is chess, but it's not chess at your level. At this level, what is important for like an under 6 football player? Control of the ball, right? We're not gonna I'm not a coach for football anymore, but like we're not gonna tell kids to start doing like overlays or overlaps is what they call it, or like, you know, we're not gonna teach them about like certain formations in the game. You know, we're not gonna tell them, we're not gonna explain to them what a 4-4-2 is. Not yet, right? And even if we did explain what a 4-4-2 is, do you think they would be able to maintain that kind of positioning? No, they wouldn't. They're children. They don't understand yet. But what we do focus on, is the control of the ball. We focus on the control of the ball. We focus on fitness. Well, maybe not kids because they're little kids, right? We focus on how to kick a ball, how to pass a ball, you know, how to throw a ball for throw-ins, etc. You know, all the things that don't really make you have to play like an alternate chess game. You know?
Yeah.
And so that's where 99% of League of Legends players are at. They're not playing League of Legends. They're just learning how to kick a ball. Just like you right now. Where your trading needs work, CSing, map awareness, spacing, all these things. The game is too low of a level for you to begin to start having macro. And although yes, macro, your teammates might have an idea of macro, right? They might have a concept of macro, but how many times do you have a plan to take Dragon, and your teammates are taking 20 different fights across the map? In gold. Yeah,
but many times.
Many times. But do those fights have any reason? No, they don't. It's just it's senseless fighting.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not, League of Legends is chess, but it's not chess where you're playing. Not yet. Right? So what we work on actually is not the macro. In fact, we're going to say that I say that macro doesn't exist. And people get infuriated when I say this. A lot of players say, like, macro does exist. What are you talking about? It's a basic fundamental of the game. No, it's not. If it was, then show me. Right? And I've coached across like multiple years of coaching. I have not seen any proper macro rotation. Not a single one. Maybe by accident here and there, sure. But I've not seen a proper macro rotation done by any player. You know? In like not by a single player, but like as a team, as a unit, they have not done anything. Because someone's always dying, someone's always doing something stupid, and someone's always doing something weird. And so the reality of the fact is that you're coming to me and you're asking me, this is my idea of the game. I'm trying to tweak it. Like you, there are probably a million other players that also have their own idea of the game. And so when you have 5 different players with different ideas of the game clashing amongst each other, really, like, what's the right call at that point? You know what I mean?
I get what you mean. I disagree with some of the things that you say, but I understand what your point is.
Right. What do you disagree with?
Uh, the absoluteness in your tone
Mhm.
of how you say that macro is unimportant, but it is very much important in like it's I would think it's probably more important in lower elo than no, alright. I wouldn't say it's more important, but it is definitely significantly important. Like, yes, people are going to get caught, but the game is still played in a very similar way to pro play in terms of there's dragons and barons on the map, and there's towers that need to be taken, and to do that, you can apply pressure. And
But you
it's not
Mhm.
like it's not bronze games. Like I understand what you're describing to me is a lot more like iron and bronze
Right.
tier games where you can solo carry just purely based on your mechanics alone.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah,
So for a gold player to look at Iron and state that you can solo carry games on your own, does that not simply change with the perspective of a pro player looking at a gold game? Because to a pro player, gold is basically Iron. There's no difference between Iron and gold at that point for a pro player.
no, I think there's a significant difference, but it's not not a
But
productive
it,
discussion.
right. That's fine. But we do have to say that this is always more important than
Oh
macro.
no, 100%. I totally agree
Yeah.
that that's definitely important.
Yeah.
I was just saying that the absolutist mentality that you had
Mm-hmm.
that you were trying to portray was a bit absolutist, if that makes sense.
Well, it does make sense, but again, this is off of multiple years of coaching and then understanding and filtering what matters versus what doesn't matter,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because sure, coming off of coming to absolutes is a conclusion that it's not a great thing to do because there obviously is certain variables that defy what I'm saying, but if you take a general perspective, it is almost 9 times out of 10, or 99 times out of 100, better to focus on these than anything else, right? Because this is always better for players to get better at before macro, because macro isn't as hard as you might think it is.
Yeah,
Right?
that's right.
Like what is
I'd
the most
agree with that.
what is the most difficult macro rotation in solo queue you would make? I don't have a map open here. I'm trying to find a map of Summoner's Rift. Here it is.
I wouldn't be able to tell you something specific, but my only point is like obviously if I think I've heard you say before, like
Mm-hmm.
of the hundred different like little micro skills that you need for League of Legends, pros are on a 9 or 10, and people in like gold and platinum, whatever, are like
Right.
4 or 5.
Right.
That's fine, but like when you add up all the numbers, like the macro play is, if you're grouping as 5 together and they're grouping as 4, and one guy, somewhere else, then the simple math says that the 5 people are going to win. And I guess you can take that as an easy concept in macro and
Right.
win
The,
objectives
the,
off that.
the, the only rotation in macro is like you take tower, you lane swap top, or you lane swap mid as ADC or as bot lane. Right?
Yeah.
If Baron
Yep.
and Dragon is up, mid lane is always superior. If Dragon is up, then bot lane is superior, and if Baron is up, then obviously top lane is superior.
Yep.
Outside of that, there are post lane freezes. That's slightly macro, right? There are there's obviously you're at the lane, you're at the objective when the objective spawns. So like maybe it's like 20 seconds till Baron and you're fighting. That's fine. Vice versa. Maybe there's like build ups in top lane where you can crash at the same time bot lane crashes, which then allows you to open mid or something. Whatever, right? Or vice versa, where there's builds ups in in lane A and lane B, where lane C then becomes open to take or whatever. This is like really as far as macro goes, but this seems pretty easy to get good at.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not hard to get good at, but what's hard to get good at is this stuff.
Sure.
It's the trading, CSing, map awareness, spacing. This stuff should be number one. It should be everything you should work on because it's so important. Mm-hmm. Because the rest of it is just like what you can do at any time.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that makes sense. So can we go through each of those fundamentals and just you give an example of like how to progress in getting better at each of those? Because obviously you're going to do different things. Like CSing, sure, go in a training tool and CS with no items for 10 minutes and try and get perfect CS on different champs and whatever. You can do that, but maybe like if you can give me like examples of those other ones so I can work on how in my own time how to improve in each of those.
Well, trading, you can 1v1 people, right? I actually have a video on this. It's the main video on YouTube. If you just go on the YouTube, it's like how to practice fundamentals. CSing, you can do by just so CSing and map awareness actually fall into the same category, in the sense where you can hit the minion, and then look at the map, right? This also can be done with 1v1s. So all 3 of these fundamentals can actually just be practiced with 1v1s. In fact, all 4 of these fundamentals could be practiced with 1v1s. Because spacing is done in 1v1s. Map awareness can be done as you hit the minions and look at the map, right? Actually maybe move this down here so it's a little more, like, makes more sense. CSing, 1v1s you can do. Don't CS against, like, bots and shit, because it's not normal. Unless you're, like, a new player. Unless you're completely a new player. If you're like gold or platinum or low diamond and you've been playing for multiple years, go into 1v1s. Don't CS against bots and stuff, because I find that always really, people say that it's really dumb. So this can all just be tackled with just having a lane partner. Mouse speed, same thing. You can practice this consciously by increasing or actually just trying this in game, right? You can just go into game, spend about maybe 2 weeks just with like higher sensitivity on mouse, right? Higher sensitivity on mouse, and physically and consciously just clicking faster until it becomes like habit in a way, right? Camera speed, reading every situation as they happen. This comes with experience, but a lot of this also has to do with just increase your camera speed. I had a jungle client about a week ago, I think. I think he's still in chat. I'm not even too sure because he gave me his OPGG earlier. But he was playing at 35 or 37 camera speed. And I told him to move it up to 80. It was everywhere. And even pros don't do that, to be honest. But I made it such an obnoxious amount because then if he's able to control his camera at speed 80, he can lower that down to like 60 and then start looking at the map a lot more. Right? Yeah, there he is, actually. He's in chat.
Is there a recommended camera speed that you would
recommended? I'm not sure. Yeah, he's at 70 now. Right? I made him go to 87 or something, or like like 85, or it was something obnoxiously high. Now he's lowered it, but he's a lot higher than what it was before, and because he's able to physically see what's happening around him, he can react to certain situations, right? Reading situations as they happen. Sorry, you asked me something just before this, and I didn't catch that. What did you ask?
Oh no, I just asked what the camera speed.
Oh, recommended. Whatever's comfortable, preferably something over 50. Right?
Okay.
Whatever is enough for you to catch.
I'm just asking because I think mine's just on the standard setting. Like I don't think I've ever changed the camera speed, and obviously we've got used to that. So is that something I should look at it increasing?
You could if you're not able to read the situations in time. Right? But this is like not as important. Right? This isn't. Sure. So we'll rank these in a second.
That's fine, but I'm just trying to get all the little micro things, like obviously the key things, but yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, you could probably. I think 50 to 60 is completely fine. Higher is always better, but whatever is enough for you to be able to control it, and then on top of that, you can read every situation as it's happening. Not as it's happening, but like a second before, like after it happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. So this is essentially, and then team fight positioning is just like you can play A rounds. I'm not kidding. You can do like Nexus splits. It sounds weird, but you can. It does teach you things. And then just team fighting in solo queue, like just experience, right? Okay. And when you're practicing these things, you consciously think about every single ability being blown. As an ADC, it's even more important. Okay, Vi just used her ultimate. Vi just used her Q. Senna just used her stun or her snare, whatever it is. Galio just uses his dash or whatever, right? These are things you can start to mentally track in your head, and then eventually you'll be able to track each and every ability used. And so maybe for the first few games, you're able to track 1 to 2 abilities. Maybe next week, it's very easy for you. You can track 3 to 4 abilities. Next week, maybe it's 5 to 6. And you're not tracking every single ability. That's obnoxious, because then there's like 50 abilities, right? But you are going to be tracking the main CC abilities. So like Galio ulti, Galio stun, maybe Galio dash. I'm using one. I mean, Galio's kind of an obnoxious case, right? But there's other champions that don't have insane, like Malphite R. That's it. Malphite doesn't really have anything else you have to be aware of. Maybe Maokai's Twisted Advance on his W. I think that's his W. I'm not sure. His ulti. Those are 2 spells, right? His Q is not really a big deal, right? So these are things you can just start to begin to envision in your head and position accordingly to them.
Yeah.
Right. And then never really look at your champion. Always just look at the game, right?
Yeah.
So if I was to rank these, right, and you were to rank the fundamentals, this would be number 1 always. This would nothing beats this. This is the most important thing. This is number 2. And then like this is probably like number 3. Number 3/number 4. I don't really know which one's which. This one, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. Yep. But the most important things are always going to be number 1, 2, and 3. Sorry, number 1 and 2. So sorry. Mouse speed. This is going to be the most important, because without this, you can't do any of this, right? And then without any of this, you're never going to get high elo, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I can use myself as an example. I was really bad at teamfighting, and arguably I'm still pretty bad at teamfighting. But my laning was good enough to hit high diamond and was able to get into master tier just off of trading, CSing, map awareness, and spacing. My teamfighting was still just awful. But I was able to work on these things, and I was able to do this, and then this was enough to get me to a certain level. And it's the case for many players. Okay?
Cool.
Does that all make sense so far?
Yeah, for sure.
Is there anything that you like, any questions or any disagreements about anything? Anything that you believe could be tweaked?
No, I'm happy with that.
Yeah. So yeah, this is what you want to work on. Okay.
Cool.
That first question took a minute, but we can go on to your next questions.
One thing, I don't know how much time we've got left.
I mean, it's not a big deal.
One thing was, so looking at a lot of your videos where you do talk about, the kind of the first 6 waves in bot lane. I think if you could just kind of clarify that, because a lot of the conversations that I see you going into that is kind of like, it's kind of like halfway through, and I don't really understand. So, for example, if it crashes on wave 3, then they win wave 5 and 6 as well.
Right. So my content is not low-Elo friendly. It just isn't. And that's why I'm never going to have like insane viewership. It's just not friendly to lower level players, or gold, plat, low diamond. It's just not. And so I'm going to be talking about things that I'm going to be skipping over most of the steps. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to cater to everybody, and I'm trying to make, that's why, hence the announcement I made earlier, right? Where I'm like, I'm only going to make edited videos now. And those edited videos are going to be more kind of for everybody. It'll be slower. But the coaching, when I'm VODing something, I'm going to skip over like 20 steps. Because at that point, it's just an assumption that, if you lose on wave 2, you lose on wave 4. How? You just do it. To answer the question, I mean, the question is kind of hard to answer, considering I don't really have any champions or anything like here to base anything off of. But let's look at, I guess, I don't know, we'll look at mid lane, for example, right? Let me actually let's look at bot lane, because you're an ADC player. If you are able to crash, if you're able to win on wave 1, meaning you're able to get level 2 first, okay?
Which should be wave 2.
Well, in order to get level 2 on wave 2, you have to auto on wave 1.
Yeah.
So usually, if you're able to get +3 autos on wave 1, you've won on wave 2, but you have to win on wave 1 in order to win on wave 2. It's easy to auto one last time to get the 7th minion. Or sorry, it's bot lane. To get the 9th minion, to get the 9th melee. That's easy to do.
Yeah.
But it's harder to establish a lead initially. And so, in order to get level 2, you actually have to win on wave 1, not wave 2.
Yeah.
Because if you've won on wave 1, you've already won on wave 2. You have to already have the lead established at that point, right? And so, if you win on wave 1, that's what I mean by win on, you actually win on wave 4. And the reason for this is because if you can get level 2, You can zone them off of the second wave. You can crash the second wave, and then you can crash the third wave. You can crash the second wave. The third wave will end up meeting here, and the fourth wave will end up bouncing. This is a classic example. This is one sequence out of 100 different sequences that could happen. So it could be crash 1, crash 2, crash 3, crash 4. It could be crash on 1, crash on 2, bounce on 3, bounce on 4 and 5. It could be crash on 1, 2, 3, bounce on 4, bounce on 5, 6. Like there's different sequences. And this is all relevant to where the jungler could be and how your lanes are playing. That's too advanced. That's like more pro play and like super high level stuff. But this is a very basic. No, crashing 2 on fine is fine because you can cheater as well, right? This is all like non-basic stuff. The most basic thing I can tell you with this concept is like is you know the following example where I'm like, if you win on wave 1, you can win on wave 4, because if you can win on wave 1 and you end up getting level 2 on the second wave, you can crash the second one. You don't have to recall. You can then have the wave return here on 3. Wave 3 will return here, and you're playing from red side, let's assume, right? And then so wave 4 and wave 5 are played over here. This is a safe zone. So what actually
they're pushing into you.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Yeah, so because you're able to auto on wave 1, you have a freeze on wave 5 and 4. Okay?
Yeah. And how dynamic is that compared to matchups? Because obviously some champs are going to have a lot more wave clear than others. So how like relevant is that to every matchup?
Some matchups you can't win on wave 1. If you are playing, if you're playing something like I don't know, Leona Vayne into a Zyra Xayah, you're not winning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's too much wave clear.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So at that point, your goal becomes reserve HP, lose on wave 1, and yes, losing is also a goal because it's inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
Losing on wave 1, losing on 4. Maybe let's say you're doing the opposite, right? Let's say you're playing Vayne on blue side, with the Leona, and maybe Xayah ends up getting this whole sequence against you and is able to freeze the lane on wave 4. At that point, as wave 5 is returning, and let's say wave 5 is here, maybe Xayah uses a cooldown, and Leona or Zyra uses her whatever, right? So maybe they're on cooldown. You can use this tempo advantage to break the wave so that they don't freeze anymore. Hence, then 5, instead of freezing, 6 returns into you. And then 6 is also when Leona's level 4 or 5. Well, she's level 4, actually, because it's bot lane, right? And so then, maybe you can all-in them and chase them down the lane. And so the goal, instead of losing on wave, you will lose on wave 1, hence losing on wave 4. The goal could be I could break on wave 5, I could break on wave 4, and I can get a good lane state for 6. And then we could try to kill on 6. That's possible.
Right. Yeah.
Okay? So it is dynamic. It does depend on matchup. It does depend on, a bunch of other things. But, like, you can't do any of this stuff unless you're able to, like, CS and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's fine. I think there's, like, all the concepts I definitely understand. It's just understanding then how, in the micro, to execute it. So, which...
Yeah.
Like how many minions do you actually need to keep alive in order for it to be moving at this pace so that it's going to be bouncing at, whatever wave. So that's the in-depth stuff that I would just have to play around with, I guess. But
a quick warning I could give you is like, don't make this like priority. Mm-hmm. Right, this is not priority for you. This is like addition. This is like how to play ADC. So the way I like to categorize the game, just an easy way to really rule of thumb is if you're bronze to like diamond 4, or let's say platinum. This is not like set in stone or anything. If you're like bronze to like platinum 2 or platinum 1, you have to learn how to play your champion, right? If you're able to get out of platinum 1 and you're playing from diamond 4 to masters, you have to learn how to play your lane, which is the stuff I just talked about, right? Like the bouncing on 1-2 or whatever, right? That's why when you look at other coaches, and you look at other coaches who talk about bouncing and all this other like wave 2, 3 sequences, they only talk about these things to players who are above diamond, because players below diamond, it's not enough to. There's no point talking about them because they don't have the baseline fundamentals yet for us to be just telling you to do, hey, just win on wave 5. If you can't win on wave 5 if you mess up a trade, which you shouldn't have, where you space too deep in and you take like 50% HP damage, then it doesn't matter what you win on. You've already lost the game, right? And so, if you're bronze to platinum, one, you have to get really good at your champion and get really good at the basics, like the trading and the CSing and all that stuff. Once you're out of platinum, you go into diamond. It's laning, and then once you're out of master to like pro play, or like getting scouted or whatever, you have to be able to play the game properly. And so that's when we talk about like really, really advanced stuff. A lot of this had to do with if you watch the autumn session, the autumn coaching, that's what we talked about. So then Autumn and I were. I mean, if you don't know who Autumn is, he's one of LS's endorsed coaches. He's the Korean ex-pro. And we were talking about mid lane, and we were essentially we had this whole sequence built up, and then I'm like, okay, question: what if this is in Zhao? The whole sequence got changed. It was like completely something different, but that's because we both understood why it would be different, right? But for someone at a low in platinum or in Diamond 4, it would be a little bit harder to understand that stuff until you've understood the lane, and then before that even the champion. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that make sense? I hope this isn't
sure.
like super overwhelming, like crazy.
No. I totally understand it. As I said, it's like there's a level in which I can definitely understand it, but then how to execute it is another thing. And like to be honest, like don't take it as offense or anything, but I feel like you're underestimating the amount of knowledge and skill that might be in gold and platinum elo, and that's probably just a thing over time. Like obviously there's been a lot of people that have learned a lot more over the years, and it's not, people in gold and plat aren't totally stupid. Like they watch all your videos and they watch a whole bunch of other videos, and they do have good concepts of the game, they just don't understand how to execute it properly. I guess that's kind of where I'm definitely sitting, and I'm just trying to find out. Cool. Well, look, I understand. I know. I'm trying to find out what I don't know so that I can work out how to learn it and how to implement it and execute it. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I do come across as that actually a lot, and this is one of the reasons why people think that I'm kind of an asshole when it comes to coaching, or just in general. The reality is I don't act like this when I'm not coaching, because you have to have different personalities and different, personas when you are in certain situations. You don't act the same way you act at home or to your parents or to your family or whatever, versus what you act like in work, right? So, although I do believe that it is my opinion that I think that yes, there is differences between bronze and gold and silver and diamond, hence why rank wouldn't exist otherwise. But the main thing is that it's all the same at the end of the day, right? Obviously, people will disagree, and I completely understand that.
Yeah, I appreciate your viewpoint.
Yeah,
That's what I'm just trying to see it like from your lenses as well.
Yeah. So cool. I think that you have a good point. But yeah, this it's all fine.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, so is there anything else you want to talk about?
The only other things were kind of like very micro stuff. So like, I'm sure Caitlyn is obviously a pretty dominant AD at the moment. At the moment, it's like pick or ban.
She's obnoxious these days.
In solo queue.
Yeah.
One thing I've just been trying to understand is the using the traps most effectively in the laning phase. So you can obviously put them like at the corner of the bushes, so that if someone tries, if the enemy support's trying to face check a bush or get pressure from that bush, they might step directly into the trap. But I don't know how to use them specifically in lane. Is there any it's probably
I wish I could tell you, but I'm not a Caitlyn player.
No, that's fine.
I mean, hold on.
It's probably something that I just need to probably watch like a Caitlyn one trick and just see exactly what to do. Because a lot of people just walk up and literally place a trap directly underneath where the enemy ADC is standing, just to put the pressure on them to have to move. But
I think so. I mean, this is stuff that I know that Saber is like a Caitlyn main. But I'm just seeing how this guy uses it. Because I tell you, but I literally just don't know how to play Caitlyn.
Yeah, that's fine. I just that was one of the questions. I guess the only other questions that I have then that would be helpful at this point is I know that you've said to watch Arrow LOL a lot, and I've been watching a couple of his things, and he's put some guides out recently or some videos on YouTube which has been cool, just like on, hey, here's the basics on how to play Ashe or whatever, which has been cool, and I've been watching a couple of his streams. But is there any any schedule or routine that would be good? So like, hey, every week it'd be good if you watched like 3 different challenger gameplay things and
it wouldn't
analyze
really
their stuff
matter if you watch 3 different challengers, because they're all challenger at the end of the day, so it doesn't really matter who you watch.
It's more matchups and like looking at matchups, looking at how they play the champs. Like, how much should you be doing that as opposed to playing, as opposed to CS practicing, like that type of stuff?
A schedule? I don't think that they have a schedule. Well, they have a schedule, but are you talking about their schedule?
So it's not what their schedule is. Like, what would be a good schedule for me to improve?
So
obviously, like, we've gone through some fundamentals of a bunch of different things, but like holistically, instead of just working on one thing at a time, like, what's a good schedule?
One thing that I was gonna do for a short time, is that I would play 3 hours in the morning, and this might sound extremely intense, but this is what I do right now, on my alt accounts, right? Because my goal is to hit Challenger, as fast as possible. So I would wake up, like, and I have a really fucking weird schedule to sleep on, so don't, just listen. Dude, I would wake up at 4
I'm
a.m.
in Australia and it's 5 a.m. currently, and I haven't slept yet.
I would wake up at 4 in the morning, and I'd be totally good, completely refreshed. I'd wake up at 4 in the morning, and from 4 to like 8:30, I would like play like 6 to 7 solo queue games. Now this is obnoxious because the queue times would be long, but I would focus on every single game I played, right? And then I would sleep for like 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, and then I'd wake up like around like 12, and obviously I'm working around my own work schedule because I work outside of League of Legends and everything, right? But I would then do solo queue again at like 10 at night, 10 to like 12. I would do solo queue, or like 10 to like 11:30 or 11:45. But when I'm doing this, I'm only watching VODs. I'm not really like playing, and I'm comparing my 6 to 7 solo queue games with better players, and that's all I'm doing. And I do this like every day except for Sundays and Saturdays, right? And Thursdays, sorry. So if it isn't Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, I'm doing this. Pretty much.
So when you say compare, do you mean like, hey, let's find a game with like maybe a similar champion matchup? And
No. I just watch other junglers, and for me, I don't need to watch if I'm playing like Elise or something, which I really enjoy doing because it's the one champion that I was able to hit master tier with relative ease on. So if I'm playing Elise, I used to, not anymore apparently, but. I wouldn't really watch other Elise players. I would watch like other junglers, because then I would just be able to be like, okay, I know what this champion does. I know that this guy would do this, this, and this. I'm trying to learn the role, not necessarily the champion at that point. Right? Does that make sense? And so it's the same thing with you, where you don't need to look at other Caitlyn players if you're playing Caitlyn or Ashe or whatever. You just need to watch other ADCs to see what they do. Right? That's all you have to do, because you have to get good at the role. And
yeah, I think the difficulty that I have is distinguishing the difference between the champion and the matchup and the role of ADC, if that makes sense.
Well, the role of ADC would be to like, when do I push? When do I freeze? When do I recall? When do I roam? This is all ADC specific.
Right.
The role of the champion is like, okay, trading, CSing map, like all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hope that helps. It's kind of hard to.
Yeah, I feel like they're very closely linked. Like,
yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They are.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But like this could be a schedule. I mean, this is my crazy schedule that I have. I think there's better schedules than this, right? There probably are. And I'm pretty sure that there are probably like, I mean, you could just come up with whatever, right? Like you could do like a 3 hour split. Like you could do like 3 hours in the afternoon, from like 12 to like 3, and then you could do 3 hours from like 9 to like 12 or something, right? Like I wouldn't really know how you, like, having two splits is usually going to be good, and then not playing for too long is really good, because I mean, you could ask yourselves, right? Like if you like back when I was in university and school and everything, I would sit down at lectures, and personally for me, if I'm sitting in a lecture and I'm listening to someone talk, I'm not listening to them after 2.5 hours. After 2.5 hours, I am on my phone. I am looking at social media. I'm just not thinking. You know, assuming that the topic isn't super interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. So, essentially, I only do like 2 to 3 hours, because that's how much I can focus with full attention. Like 100% attention, I can focus for 2 to 3 hours. Any more than 2 to 3 hours, I'm not going to be able to focus. And so, what's the point of playing if you can't focus? Because at that point, you're just playing games for no reason.
Yeah.
Right. In fact, someone said that, like, when the average worker is like, when the average person is working, they're only really focused on like a set amount of hours in their entire like 7 hour span or 8 hour span or whatever their shift is, which is like really weird. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, the actual productive time, as opposed to the hours that you're physically at work in the office. Like, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Like the amount of time.
Yeah.
I think in some Coach Curtis videos, I think he was saying, hey, you know, which definitely spoke to people like me that will play League for like 12 hours a day or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, hey, don't play solo queue for 12 hours a day.
No.
Play like 3 games to put all of your effort and all of your might into it, and then go and play normals for the rest of the time. So that way you actually
I would
consciously trying to improve instead of autopiloting.
Yeah, I would even recommend just getting off of the game for the rest of the time. Like, do other things, right? Because if you play too much League of Legends, it becomes like really bad. And then you begin to emotionally get invested a little too much, to the point where you're spending so many hours on a game that you suck at. That's annoying to me. I mean, imagine spending like 12 hours a day and then being like silver. You know, that's depressing, man.
Or gold 1.
I mean, I would feel
that's why I'm like, hey, I know I'm never going to be the best League of Legends player, but I enjoy it. I just want to get better so I can do better in like amateur tournaments and
right. But
yeah,
like,
so
the reality is, if you play less, you actually get better. Right? Because it's strange, because like quantity doesn't determine success. It's weird. Right? Obviously, I'm not qualified to talk how the brain works and everything, but like, playing multiple games does not make you better. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
That definitely, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that was all the main questions that I had, I guess.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. I guess we're good then. If you have any questions, anything else that comes up, you can always just DM me. If I see it, I'll be able to respond.
Awesome.
Most of the time, I would be able to see it.
Can you just copy paste that?
Of course.
That notepad that you got.
Yeah.
Send that to me. That'd be awesome.
I will do that right now. Here you go. Okay. Cool. Anyways, man, it was nice meeting you. I'll talk to you later. Good luck.
Yeah. Thanks,
All
heaps.
right. Take care.
It.
Bye.
Thanks, mate.
See ya.